You know what they say about people trying the same thing over and over again, expecting different results? Practice makes perfect. Hello! What is my obsession with this game that just doesn't seem to scratch my creative itch? From the beginning, what I wanted to achieve was Tron meets Race the Sun meets Tyrion. That's basically neo-futurism meets Endless Runner meets shmup. Well, the first time around was a complete disaster, and the second time around did not fit the bill. What exactly is missing from these games that keep me up at night? Well, in the first one, I mean, look at it. The graphics are horrible and look nothing like neo-futurism, it's just red. And a little bit of blue. The shooting mechanic is there, but it's lackluster at best. I mean, shoots in a few different things and some weapons, but they look horrible. The enemies are just plain and boring. It's really a mess of a game. The second one certainly started going in the right direction. The visuals were very simple, but they were polished and consistent and very Vecter looking, so good. The shooting mechanic is there and works a lot better than the first one, but not really all the way there. The sense of speed, I think it's its biggest achievement. It just flies. It's really good and really fast. And the levels, this time, are actually endless, unlike the other one. Whoops. But then I just stopped working on it. I didn't really want to. I was genuinely enjoying myself and it was going great. The reviews were awesome on Steam, there were inspiring comments everywhere, everyone liked it a lot, and it had a great reach. So what happened? Well, scope creep happened. For those that don't know, scope creep is basically when you don't have a well-defined list of what you want to put into your software from the beginning. So as you're building it, you keep thinking, let's add more and let's add more and let's add more, because that would be cool and that would be cool and that would be cool, and then you're not thinking how all these things interact with each other and you just end up with a mess. How exactly? Let me actually take you through Vecter and show you what happened. Here was my thought process. Wouldn't it be cool if we add customizable colors? So I did. To everything. You can change every single color in the game. And I had to make a menu for that. I had to basically check with every element that it's dynamically loaded. It caused performance issues because you have to constantly read the value of what color it should be. So yeah, let's put in local multiplayer. That's half-baked because I didn't really know what I was doing and I didn't design the game from the beginning to have local multiplayer, so I shoehorned it in midway through. And that turned out to be a disaster because when you add in multiplayer, you actually have to think about using multiple inputs at the same time, multiple button mappings, multiple everything. Also, if you try and do multiplayer on a keyboard that's not a high-performance mechanical keyboard, they usually don't support pressing more than 4 keys at a time. So that was a pain. Let's add custom music. People should use their own songs. To be fair, that was intended from the beginning, and not really in the sense of scope creep, but it was difficult because Unity doesn't allow loading dynamically MP3s from the hard drive, so I had to find a different piece of code that does that, which was a bit buggy, so I had to fix that piece of code so this feature worked in-game, so that was extra work on top of the extra work. So yeah. Hey, let's port it to Linux natively, even though it worked through Proton just fine. Why? Why? Let's put in online multiplayer, because obviously I didn't have enough punishment the first time around. That one got dropped eventually because... well, if you think local multiplayer was complicated, Jesus. Let's make the controls customizable. To be fair, again, this was in the initial list from the beginning. The problem was I didn't realize how horrible the Unity input manager is. Check out my video on the new input system. That one runs perfectly great. It's amazing. So look at that one. Never ever use the classical one. It's no. Let's add mouse functionality to menus because that was needed. I mean, it navigated just fine with the keyboard and a controller. Why did I add mouse? Because why? I don't know. Let's make the multiplayer serverless. To be fair, the idea here was to save up money so I don't have to pay for a server, but yet more complication. Let's make it work on the PS Vita. No, that's still not happening. It will never happen. No, it's dead. The console's dead. It's not happening. Period. let's port it to other consoles. I mean, that sounds like fun. It's not. And finally, my favorite, which was literally the last nail in the coffin, let's attach controls and port it to Android. That did not work out well. The scope creep got so bad that by the time I managed to get out of my head and do something simple like add a new enemy, let's say add a cube as an enemy, simplest thing, I couldn't do it. The complications were insane. I needed to check if it works with multiplayer. I needed to make it customizable colors, so I needed to make a new mapping in the color system for it to work. I needed to make sure that performance is still okay when you load this thing up so it doesn't make the game run slow. Sometimes the visual effects between Linux and Windows would be different and needed to check that to see if it works. There was just so much stuff. So yeah, it was not fun. So I stopped working on it. I did have 2 attempts to revive it. I started once trying to remove all the things from it, and then it turned out that it was removing so many features that people might not like that, because even though people don't use features, usually when they lose functionality of a product, they're not happy, regardless if it's used or not. As a tangent, even though it had local multiplayer, only 1% of players actually ever used it. And those 1% that did use it once or twice and then stopped. So that was a waste of time. You live, you learn, I guess. And then the second time around, I tried to basically port it to Android. It's worked out for a while, but it turned out that Android, or any phone for that matter, doesn't have enough processing power to load up elements in-game at a good frame rate, like say 60, in order to maintain the feeling of speed, so it would just bug down and it wouldn't be fast enough. I had to remove so many visual elements that the game was just boring looking, so what was the point? Bottom line is, the game's done. Vecter is done, it's completed, it's on Steam, it runs fine, it has great reviews, people enjoy it. I mean, overwhelmingly positive for my second ever game is just a massive achievement to me. It exceeded all of my expectations. It's been downloaded over 300,000 times by people. It's been played hours and hours. Maybe the game isn't the problem. Maybe it's me that's the problem and I should just leave well enough alone. Yeah, right. Fire up Unity and get that GPU melty. I'm gonna need to make a sequel. Leave well enough alone. As if I'm not done, and if I can't make Vecter do what I want, then I'm just gonna make my own Vecter with blackjack. Wait, I did make my own Vecter. Never mind. So, are you excited? Are you ready? I know I am. I know I'm excited. Let's see. Come on. I gotta show you the next generation of Vecter. You're gonna love this. Let me show you. Okay, you ready? Because I am. Here it is. Super Vecter Elite Turbo. It's going to have more better everything. More graphics, more enemies, more shooting, more scope creep. Wait, what? No, not more scope creep. Who put this in there? But seriously, I'm hoping to use my experience and knowledge from the previous 2 games to combine the visuals of Tron Legacy with the speed of the original Vecter and hopefully the ship and weapon customizations of at least Tyrion 2000. Side point, if you have never played Tyrion 2000, I want to give it a shout out. It's an amazing game that you might be missing out on. Or maybe I'm seeing it through rose-tinted glasses, but they're my rose-tinted glasses, so I highly encourage you to go and check it out. I'll leave a link in the description, but don't you dare leave now. Check it after the video ends, because right now we're talking about Super Vecter Elite Turbo. But how am I gonna prevent it from going down the same route? Well, obviously the definition of scope creep is you didn't define the scope at the beginning, so it crept out of control in size. Therefore, let's define it this time. Here's what I've decided so far. This list might still change, but it's only gonna be on PC and Steam Deck. Optimized to run on the Steam Deck on its 720p 60 FPS screen. Consider that the minimum system requirements. The ship will be customizable, kind of like a roguelike ship. You will start off with a basic ship, but as you progress through the game, you will get to unlock certain, let's say, modifiers to it, make it faster, make it steer better, etc. And you have to kind of have, and you'll have to choose which one goes where. So you won't be able to build the same ship. Well, you'll be able to build the same ship twice, but every ship will be slightly different. And as well, on top of that, stuff like guns, I might actually make them lose every time you die, so that will keep the roguelite element of it. We'll see. Still designing. This time around the game will be physics based in a sense, so last time in Vector basically all of the calculations were done via raycasting. It wasn't very realistic, but that was the point. It was supposed to feel arcadey. This one, while it will still feel arcadey, I want it to feel arcadey in the sense of, like, say, Need for Speed. I want the ship to correctly interact with the environment. I want it to, like, drag itself on stuff. I want it to spin, etc. So I'll actually show you a video later on how that already happens inside of the game, but bear in mind that this is gonna look a little bit more realistic and feel a little bit more realistic, but not by a lot. There will be a lot more of shooty fighty elements. I want it to feel a bit more like a shmup, but I also want it to basically keep the same level or even increase the level of speed at which you're going at. I'm not entirely sure how I'm gonna achieve that yet, but stuff to bear in mind, there will probably be enemies in this that will fight you, and there will probably be bosses that you'll have to chip at in order to continuously progress. This time around there will only be one track with a twist. Okay, so I might be creating lore at this point, but basically there's gonna be a massive ship that goes down the track constantly in real life time. And every player, when they start gaming, they're gonna launch from that ship and go ahead of it faster and faster. They won't be able to slow down too much, because otherwise the ship's gonna come from behind and just smash into them. And the point is, every time you start the game, you're gonna start further down this unique track that everybody plays on. So playing the same elements twice is gonna be very limited. And the further away you get from the ship, the more points you're gonna get, basically. At least that's my thought process so far. Let me know what you think in the comments, actually. If you think it's a good idea, it's a bad idea, I'm all open for feedback at this point. The biggest change between this and Vector, honestly, is probably not going to be the shooty thing, because Vector had shooty. The biggest change is going to be 3 directions of control rather than 2. So in Vector you moved acceleration, brake, left, right, and you could jump, but jump wasn't really under your control, there was a platform. In this one, it's actually going to control more like a plane. You go up, down, left, right, accelerate, brake. And the reason for that is it plays a little better with physics, as well as I wanted it to feel a bit more complicated of a game. The other one was just purely based on reflex, on speed. This one, I want there to be a few decision points on how you wanted it to control and how you wanted to achieve. It also allows more customization on the roguelite elements of the ship, so it feels like your own ship. And yeah, there's more things that I'd like to add. I'm not gonna divulge them right now. Plus, I don't want to commit myself to anything. The stuff I've said above, I'm probably gonna commit to, but that's about it for now, and that's as much as I'm willing to spoil. But what I can say, however, is here are things that are definitely not gonna be in it anymore. So no complete color customization, because that just makes it exponentially more difficult. You will have the option of customizing your ship, even visual aspects of it, but that's about it. Custom songs may not make the cut. I'm still undecided, because honestly, you could just turn the music volume off in game and just play your Spotify playlist. So it doesn't really add any benefit to the game itself. YouTube in the Sky, while it pains me to say this, but YouTube in the Sky, while I loved it in Vector, and I wish I could bring it to this one, the sad reality is, first of all, it doesn't work in Linux, it's not supported by Unity, and second, it's just, YouTube doesn't allow for embedding their videos this way. It probably has to do with the way they monetize the videos through ads and stuff, so they've made it incredibly difficult to have a consistent experience when getting a video running. There is no documentation on doing it, there's no API, so it's a lot of trial and error. Therefore, I'm afraid that in order to actually make more game, I'll have to cut out this feature. Sorry, it's just reality, and trust me when I say it saddens me deeply to see it go. No custom seeds, no custom tracks, nothing like that. It's only gonna be one track. Everybody's gonna be on it. The experience for everybody's gonna be different on it, but there's no reason to have multiple tracks. There will not be any local multiplayer because, like I said earlier, like I think I said earlier, only 1% of users ever used it, and out of those 1%, they've only used it a handful of times on average. There have been people that played it consistently, but so few of you have done it, so I'm sorry, it's just not worth the effort. No multiple game modes. I'm not gonna say definitively no multiple game modes, but in the beginning there's definitely not gonna be multiple game modes because I just want it to be a focused game rather than wide broad area and make a bad experience for everyone. Good rule of thumb is if I've complained about a feature on Twitter, follow me on Twitter, it's probably not gonna be in this game because I just want to have fun building it and deliver a better experience for all of you as opposed to just a lot of pointless features that basically nobody uses. And no, still no PS Vita.
Yo, Dev Boy, the video says devlog. Show us some game.
Okay. I'll show you some game, but I warn you, it's very early days. It's nowhere, doesn't even look like what I wanted to, but some of the features are there that I want to do. Ta-da! I know it's rather ugly, I'm sorry for that, but everything in here right now is a temporary asset for me to actually be able to develop it properly and think about what I'm doing. But there are a few things I want to show you that I'm very excited about. So, first of all, the road, or as I call it, the treadmill, is already implemented. The reason I call it the treadmill is because this is getting a little bit technical, but instead of moving the ship forward, the road actually moves backwards towards the ship. This is to prevent something that's called the floating point precision error. It's easier if I show it to you instead of just talking about it. So instead of having the ship, or let's say a cube at 0, 0, 0, let's move it to 0, 0, 500 million. No, not 500 million, 500,000, which is basically 500 kilometers away from the center of the world, which is also called the origin. Now watch what happens when I move it from side to side. You see, the problem when you're moving something so far away from the origin is that you lose precision in the decimal values of that item's position. So how do we fix this? Simple. You don't move the ship. I mean, you can move it left to right because it doesn't go far, but you don't move it forward, so it doesn't leave the origin. Therefore, you have to make everything else come to it. And that just removes the whole problem of it shaking. Simple, right? Well, when I say simple, I mean it's a freaking nightmare. Because you need to efficiently create all the elements, not all at once, but over time, dynamically load them in, attach them all to kind of the same set of objects that constantly come towards the ship as an animation, and then delete them behind the ship so you don't overload the RAM. It's not fun, but in Vecter it worked really well, and in this one it works even better. Because I've made optimizations to this that make it draw it really fast, and I can show you right now. I can push the ship at speeds that are absolutely insane, like 300,000 kilometers an hour, and it will still roll them in just fine. Apart from the treadmill, I want to show you another thing that's cool. So as you can see, we already have the 3 dimensions of movement, so it goes left, right, up, down, etc., accelerate, brake. But watch this. Huh? You see that? It sparks. It's showing little sparks when you touch the wall. I know it's something stupid. I know it's not that awesome, but I love it. So here it is. But more importantly than that, the harder I touch the wall, check it out. The ship starts moving. Inside, it starts tilting because it's scratching against the wall. This is what I'm saying about physics. It being physics-based. It interacts with the world in a natural way that you'd expect it. It smacks against things. And in the final game, what I want to say, yeah, if you're like smacking straight up into an obstacle, it will destroy it, obviously. But if you're just lightly touching it, maybe just a few sparks jump out, the ship goes a little bit, and then starts going forward again. Does that make it? I think that makes it cooler. I don't know. What do you guys think? As always, just let me know in the comments. I like it. I don't know. And I'm out of ideas on what to show you. I hope you like it. If you did, let me know. If you didn't, let me know what, so I can fix it or change it, or basically give me your feedback, because I'd love to know what your thoughts are. It's the beginning of the development process, and I've As always, I don't really have much of an idea what I'm doing, so hit me up in the comments. If you liked it, hit the like button, and if I could really ask you for a favor, I feel very uncomfortable doing this, so sorry, but YouTube only allows monetization after 1,000 subscribers and 4,000 watch hours. So if you could subscribe, that would be great. It's not a random number that I want to hit to fill in my ego. It's just that that's how to get monetized, and I could really use the extra money to actually build this thing, because making games is expensive. I mean, just the Unity license alone is like, I don't know, $50 a month. So yeah, subscribe if you can. If you can't, I understand, that's fine too. But yeah, hopefully you enjoyed the video, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.